All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to another edition of Beat Your Addiction with John Giordano. I am your co-host, Scott Jones, and want to thank everybody for joining us here today. John, this is episode, believe it or not, I know this is looks like something's happening here, but it's not. There we go. John, episode 31. You've done 31 of these shows so far.
Wow.
31.
That many?
That many. Do you remember any of them? No.
Of course not.
But this show is obviously all about you spreading the word about addiction, getting help for addiction, and other things.
Well, it's
very personal to you, right?
It's getting a lot of traction. I'm looking on Facebook and LinkedIn and everything like that. And, it's just to go out there and help people with information that they may or may not know. And it's really cool.
Excellent. And if you want to know more about John and the mission that he's on to help people and the different things that he's involved in, because there's so many things we'd spend all day talking about it, John, go to johnjgiordano.com. It's right there on your screen, johnjgiordano.com. Check it out. Check out the publications that he's involved in, the different research projects, the speaking engagements. You're involved with the treatment center now too.
Yeah, I work with South Beach Detox. That kind of came out of, they call it retirement. I wasn't really retired, but it's really a cool place that people really care about the clients, and they detox them really, really good, so they don't have any pain. And
you wouldn't know what to do with retirement.
What's that?
All right. Well, we got a great show today. We got somebody coming on. His name is Sterling Shrout, and talking to this gentleman before the program started, and he's all about helping people with things that work for him. And I don't want to give away the secret sauce before we start talking to him, but there's a whole lot. If you want to learn more about Sterling, go to sterlingshrout.com. And that will be in the message bar there at the end of the show.
How do you spell his name?
That would be Sterling. That's Sterling, Shrout, Shrout. So just like it sounds, Sterling Shrout. And let's bring him on now, because instead of me just spelling his name, let's take a look at the gentleman. There he is, right there.
All right, live and in color.
Sterling Shrout. How are you, brother?
Good, guys. Thanks for having me on here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely our pleasure. And, again, sterlingshrout.com is a place where everybody can find out what we're going to be talking about. They can learn more about it and everything else, right?
Yeah, that's my personal website, and it's got links to other things that I've done and things that worked for me. So,
Sterling, I was reading some of the stuff that you were talking about being homeless and finding. I was homeless also. I got divorced, and I wound up staying in a hotel room, and a friend of mine had, and I had a bicycle that somebody loaned me and a jar they used to put my quarters in when I had quarters. So, I'm relating to your story and what you're saying and how we come from the depths of hell. And, that was when I got into recovery. That's when I was homeless and my early beginning days. How long are you in recovery now?
So, the first time I recognized I was an addict was 2015. And that was an opportunity to escape some trouble I'd gotten myself into, was to go into rehab. So it wasn't with the intent of getting better, but it was in that Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center that actually got my first understanding of addiction, and then realized, all the problems in my life had come from most of the choices I had made, through my addiction and things like that. So that was my first taste of it. I've been sober a little over a year now. And that's sober by the AA standards of, nothing in your body compared to, I used medically assisted treatment for a year prior to that, using Suboxone to get off of the opiates I was physically addicted to.
Cool. So you're doing this, giving back. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So, I'll go into it real quick. Basic. I've got 13 years between consecutive years without a break on probation. I got 3 years in prison as part of that, parole, and then in rehabs, generally on probation. And I was stuck in a really bad cycle of, reoffending, relapsing, I wasn't able to get out of it, and that insanity on top of, you know, the stuff that comes with addiction is a really hard struggle. It all culminated in a relapse that was short, only a few weeks, but it ended with an overdose and a Taco Bell drive-through, like foot on the brake, just you know, completely stopped in my tracks. That was a weird experience, because I remembered certain things from it, and then it was a pretty decent overdose. My dog kept him from getting to me for a while after somebody realized something had happened. I came back about, you know, when we got to the hospital, and then had the convulsions of my muscles trying to get blood back into them and all those things. But something clicked, and it's like a really basic statement, but I ultimately from that, I realized I didn't want to die. So like, at least I had a direction to go in life. Like, I had an actual truth to base my reality off of. My son was 6 months old at the time. I didn't want to just absolutely screw him, as far as, you know, where I would have left him in that position. So my fiance, we've been together 8 of the last 11 years. She's struggled with the same issues as me. We're both sober. We're both, you know, making that our job, and a big part of our lives to stay healthy, to make, you know, to create growth in our personal lives and become like the best people we can for the kids, for that responsibility we have to, you know, try to teach them to deal with trauma better than we were taught, or, you know, give them the opportunities to have really good lives.
It's a hell of a journey, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
And you know, and what I'm hearing is you know, the gratitude that we get when we you know, get into finally realize that the drugs weren't the problem, we were the problem, and all the drugs did is magnify everything. And you know, when you do drugs, you know, at least when I did drugs, I was running away from something or running towards something. You know, it's like a dog running away from its tail. It just doesn't work very well, you know. And you know, you got a 6-month-old, and hopefully that he'll see you staying in recovery. And my children, you know, are in recovery. You know, one of them anyway, and he's got 18 years, but he's the one that almost died from an overdose. So it's a difficult journey, but it's a lot more difficult using. So it's the better of the two, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the things that I use now as strengths, you know, like I look at a lot of the stuff I went through as making me resilient. Like, I'm great at manual physical labor, working hard. My drive to get things that I want is really high. All those things that I used in addiction to feed my addiction is what I've kind of retrained my brain to use to help me achieve my goals. So I have, you know, I have goals set out quarterly, annually, 5 years out. I know roughly what I'd like it to end with, at least, or the situation I'd like to provide for my family, you know, at the end of my life. So I actively have those things to strive for, and trying to use that stuff that really sucked, to make me stronger, or, you know, better able to achieve that.
As long as you got your short-term goals, you got your mid-term goals, and then you got long-term goals. At least you're heading in a direction, because I don't know about you, but when I was using, I was heading in a circle. And the wagons always circled back to getting high and disappearing for days at a time, and getting in trouble, and all kinds of stuff that goes on with addiction. And what is helping you to stay clean today and sober?
So for me, it's the two big things is education and relationships. Those are the two that have helped me significantly. You know, through the relationships I've made, I've found really good people I've gone on my way to make these relationships happen, making sure.
What are you talking about?
time.
Recovering relationship, people in recovery. You're talking about, right?
A couple. Mostly, it's just people that have a life that I want to either follow in their footsteps or get the same results as them. Their kids are well behaved and healthy. They're healthy physically, mentally. They have a really good grasp on reality. They care about their futures. They make decisions that benefit people, not hurt people, or benefit themselves and not, hurt themselves, not in a selfish way, but in a non-detrimental way. Like,
So you got a bunch of role models that you're following.
yeah.
And the thing you have to be careful of in early recovery, just my understanding of it, is that, life has a way of showing up. People break up, people lose jobs, people that are close to them die. And then people go off the rails because, oh, that happened or this happened, and they feel sorry for themselves and they wind up using. So you got to be careful with that. Early recoveries, it's tough. It takes a while for us to unravel all the crazy stuff that we did. And you got to stay in the middle of your program. If you just go occasionally to meetings and occasionally talk to people, you're occasionally going to start using again.
Yeah. So in 2015 was when I first went to rehab. Actually, went all in then. At least I thought. I had 2 years sober. I ended up screwing that up because of the relationships I had, the friends I had. Relapsed. My best friend relapsed. I thought that I had the capacity to help him, from a close distance. That wasn't how that worked for me at that time. I don't think I would try it again either. I could still direct him in the right direction or be positive or helpful or encourage him to come back to, recovery or stuff like that. But even at that 2 years in recovery, I was renting a room from a friend's mom. I think I had like a $600 car, and I just got a 10-cent an hour raise after employee of the month and setting some records at the company. And that, I feel like my self-worth was really low still. And the labels I still held about myself.
Okay, well, what are you basing your self-worth on? You're basing it on money, or you're basing it on your character?
So the way I look at it, I was basing it on what other people had kind of told me my whole life. Judges telling me that my life had minimal value, probation officers, the influences I had growing up. I had an alcoholic stepdad with a interesting view on the world. And I'm not a victim of those people. I just didn't learn enough to process it in a different way. I wasn't taught the tools to, deal with things a certain way. So the way I saw myself was, I was going to be poor, I was going to, be poor until I died. If I was lucky, not breaking into, abandoned houses and sleeping there and, just going where the wind takes me, because that's what the, resources I had were. I don't want to base my recovery on, monetary success. I've found, in comparison to what I had, which was nothing, little to no possessions, absolutely none of value. But now I have a business. Now I have we'll call it a career path. I have something I'm striving for. I've found a way to generate, money for my family, money for the future. I personally like real estate. That was a skill that I had to pick up out of necessity. When you've got 6 felonies and they all start with dangerous or aggravated, Chipotle looks at you crazy when you come in for a job.
Right.
So, end up hanging drywall or doing demo and rehabbing buildings, things like that.
Well, I didn't mean to say that money's not important.
Oh.
What I'm saying is that, when you the focus is to look at yourself and to grow as a better person and stop looking at things negative and stop looking at ourselves as we're worthless or we're failures. And, that's what we wind up doing. And then, being bored and not doing anything with our lives. Seems like you're on the right path. And, if you do the right things, I believe money comes. You have to support your family, you have to do all those things. And us addicts, we're really smart people. I mean, look how you survived all the nonsense that you were doing, just like I survived and Scott survived the craziness. All right, now you're in recovery. You could take that resilience and that attitude and that tenacity, okay, to make your life what you want it to be. And to me, spirituality is the foundation of recovery, not religion, but spirituality. And if you look at a God of your understanding, whatever that may be to you, that helped me a lot. And, you may want to consider doing that if you're not already doing that.
No, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I like the specific word tenacity. That's great. And going back to kind of where we're talking about, being sober prior and how I felt about myself, that's kind of the point I was trying to make. Like, I didn't have the tenacity or the guts to think that I deserved a good life. Like, I thought I was lucky just getting out, with my sobriety intact, not the fact that I could take my sobriety and, actually shoot for, go for gold, like, shoot for the moon in comparison to what my goals were back then. And that was one of the like worthy and self-worth. That's kind of one of the labels that, unworthy to worthy that I had to switch. And it doesn't just, you don't just flip a switch and, things change, but by creating those relationships with people who treated me like a person, not somebody that treated me like, Sterling the felon, drug user, people that saw possibility in me that I hadn't seen yet. And those relationships were really empowering to help kind of create my future.
I mean, we know a lot of us addicts and alcoholics, we look back on our lives and we feel like we're a failure because we have other people that we see progressing and doing things, and here we are stuck in the position that we're in, and because of our poor choices. But what I always tell people is this: there are no failures. There are only lessons. Those are our lessons. Okay. Sometimes we have to repeat a lesson, but those are our lessons, and you realize that you can grow and move forward. Now the problem is with early recovery is that we're in a hurry. Okay. And we're always in a hurry. We're always going to get to. Let's get to this. Let's get to that. I got to make this. I got to make that. Oh, I'm almost there. And you got to realize you got to go where your feet are. Okay? Because that's all you got. It's where you are now, not where you are in the future or in the past. You got to be in the present. And that's what found that worked for me and a lot of people that I work with. It's difficult because we're tenacious in different ways. I was tenacious doing my drugs. It don't matter if I didn't have the money, or no matter if I couldn't find anybody, I would find it. And now you just apply that tenacity to your life. But realize it's a process. It's not an event. And the problem with us addicts, we want everything yesterday. And that's not the way life works. At least it didn't work for me that way.
Sterling, let me ask you a question, Sterling, because at the beginning you made a very interesting point about drawing on the strength that you learned in your active addiction. If there is a certain strength, there's a survival mode, there is a tenacity to survive addiction to begin with. And you say that you found a way to draw on that and bring that into your current life. Who showed you that, or how did that come about where you were able to draw that line and figure out those things that I learned out there could be used here?
Yeah. So one of the, when I quit using, when I got on this medically assisted treatment, that kind of gave me the ability to stabilize a little bit. I didn't have to spend that time chasing drugs. Eventually it led to a Google search, which led to a podcast, which led to a nonprofit. They started to teach me certain tools that they were designed to help kids escape poverty. Like, I'm not a kid anymore technically and whatever, but I was still in poverty. And that sounded like something I should probably learn. Their big, one of their big tools was resilience, and drawing on those strengths and not looking at all the bad things that happened as negatives. I know John said that there's no failures, only lessons, and kind of that drive that we all had to make our addiction work. Like the problem, the way I look at that, that time frame, the problem was not having the drugs that you wanted or felt like you needed, or physically, whatever. So we became really good at solving that problem, possibly by any means necessary, by, theft or panhandling or, whatever it is, extremes, but we solved those problems. So one of those, takeaways for me was that, like, I am really good at solving problems if I want to solve them.
That's right.
If I wanted it, I found a way to make it work. And that's something that has helped me tremendously since then. Another part of resilience for me is the situations I've been in. So I've been, being in prison, that sucked. There's different facets to that, but 3 years, locked in a cage makes you pretty patient, makes you aware of your body, aware of your mind, aware of your emotions, because there's not much else to focus on. So I got, looking back, that's kind of where I got in touch with myself and my body. At first, that was a skill I didn't know how to use, basically. I had a skill and know where to apply it at the time. And then lastly, like my reality. So like we all adjust to new, to normals. For me in addiction, my normal at 15 wasn't the same as 18 and 20 and 25 and 28. I would hit new lows that would become acceptable to me. And then when I would relapse, I would immediately start back at that point. It was okay to be homeless and strung out on, IV drugs and crack cocaine. That's just kind of what my life was. In prison, certain actions got me locked up under investigation in the hole, which is, solitary confinement, no sense of day or night or time outside of the meals that come semi-regularly. And that, that was like I think, after 36 days in there, it's either a kind of a mental breaking point or something that can benefit you. So when I compare the struggles I have now, it's really hard to feel like I'm struggling. Outside of a seriously tragic, incident, or even if I lost everything today, I would still be in a better spot than I was, 2 years ago, because
that's your lessons. You're exactly what we were saying. And that's a skill set that you developed, okay, because of all the things that you've done and that happened to you. So now, see, with most addicts, when I talk to a lot of us, I say, look, you take those skill sets and you put it into your recovery, and you'll be amazed how things will change. They may not change in our time, but they will change, because change is inevitable. Everything is changing. Our country's changing. The world's changing. We're changing. So, you're on. It appears to me that you're on the right track, and your mind is going in the right direction. And whatever happened in the past, I always tell people, don't believe what anybody else tells you about you, because they're not you. Okay. Oh, you're a felon. Oh, you this. Oh, you that. Okay. Yeah, but I'm also somebody who survived drug addiction and on the right track. So, all right, maybe I was all those things, but those were the things that got me to where I am today, because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then I said, hey, screw this. I got to change my life. A lot of people don't. 93,000 people died last year of OD'd. So you're not one of those. Neither am I, neither is Scott. So you're already ahead of the game. Whether you make money, you're alive. And when you're alive and you're in the right direction, you have opportunities. And most of us say, oh, no, I'm a failure. I didn't go to school. I'm not smart. That's all bullshit in plain English. That's all that negative self-talk that we are used to giving ourselves. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So now you're in recovery, man. Now you're talking about a different thing, all right? Yeah, We're a felon. Yeah, we did all this bad stuff. Yes, yes, yes. We do drugs. Yes, 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 yes. But hey, man, I survived, and I'm a survivor, and I'm strong. Okay, and I'm going to get better and better as time goes on because I'm in the right direction now. Look at the things you survived. People die in jail. People don't get that part. You mess with the wrong people, you're dead. Right? So you learn how to survive there. You learn how to survive in the street. Look at all the skill sets that you have now you're applying in your life. But all I can tell you as a recommendation, take it slow, okay? Don't be in a hurry because sometimes when you hurry, you miss life, And to me, I'm very proud of someone like you is because I know how hard it is to stop and how hard it is to all that negative self-talk, okay, that we go into that dialogue with ourselves, how hard it is to quell that and quiet it. And it'll pop up from time to time when something doesn't go right. But hey, listen, if you find anybody that's perfect, let me know who they are. I want to pray to them. Okay?
Sterling, we're starting to run up against it on time, but I wanted to ask you something personal, and then I also want to give you an opportunity to tell people about your business and what you could do. But the personal thing is, and we rarely get somebody who's a young adult. John and I are a couple of old fogies here, but a young adult.
Yourself, Scott.
Yeah. John's perfect for dating, carbon dating. You know what I'm saying?
That's me. I'm a commentator.
You and your wife are both have had your struggles. You've gone through this life, and now you're sober. You're helping others. You have children. Have you talked about, how much of that life you're going to share, the information you're going to share with your children as they grow? Have you had those conversations, and have you thought about how that's going to play a part in your family as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. So, both of us have our goals wrote out, and we both try to plan for the future together. Because, like statistically, dating addicts trying to get better simultaneously, like those odds aren't technically in our favor. It is what it is. Besides the odds of not going back to prison and not, whatever, of getting sober. So, I don't want to pretend like I know what the, exact cause of addiction is. And, I just don't need to do this one thing and the kids will be fine. So, our intent right now is, my son's now 2.5 years old, and she's my daughter. I've had her since she was 3. Her dad actually passed away in a similar manner that I happened to escape. When they are better able to comprehend it, we'll definitely have the discussions with them. I don't intend on stopping working with people or trying to help people in any facet, whether it's recovery or poverty or anything I can do to help. So that's going to be a part of our lives and something that they, they're going to watch these podcasts one day, possibly. Probably not. That's not what kids do, but they're not watching dads.
Who's that guy?
But yeah, we both intend on making like giving back a part of our lives, and a part of the kids' lives. I think that's a really good place to stay grounded. Like a term that One Life uses is throwing down the rope. Like you only have to be one step ahead of somebody else to help them up. You don't have to be at the mountaintop to throw the rope down.
Absolutely.
You only can take people to as far as you have taken yourself.
Agreed.
And so the more you grow, the more you're able to guide yourself and guide other people, if you're in that venue, okay? So you're on the right track, and good for you, man. And I know how difficult this is, all right? You're not only, the drugs and the alcohol is the easy part, is living life on life's terms and dealing with your history that, sometimes we allow it to bring us down. Hey, man, the past is done. You can't change, you can't fix it, you can't bring it back. The only thing you can do is learn from it. And the future's not here. All right. So all you can do is plan in the present to go to where you want to go and what direction you want to go, and stuff will change,
Absolutely, John. You and I both have experience with sharing our journeys with our families and how important that is, and that it's helped people down the road. I mean, my daughter found recovery because I shared my journey of my recovery. So, and it's nice to see younger people. You're not a child, Sterling, but you are younger, and you are the next generation carrying the torch for recovery.
I thought he was 85 years old. Hold on. No,
well, you know what? You look freaking fabulous for 85, so that's pretty good. I'm not sure what drugs you did, but they preserved you. No, it's fantastic. Now, before we close out, it's definitely, I would love to hear, sterlingshrout.com is where they can go to get more information about you. What kind of work are you doing with people, and what can you do for our listeners?
Yeah, so the purpose of that website was to, try to use media or anything to reach out and kind of give people options or alternatives or, whatever works for them. If there's any value I can provide, I want to provide it. Like I said, the group I work with is a nonprofit. I make my money off of real estate, and I intend to continue doing that. This is my venue to give back. I helped. I guess it helped. It might have helped. I don't know. Might have heard it, but me and some other people created basically a recovery mastermind. You take the mastermind principle from entrepreneurship or self-help, like Napoleon Hill's concept, and apply that to recovery. And it's kind of the peer-to-peer drawing from each other's experience and strengths. And then on top of that, we add in the curriculum of life skills, of financial literacy, of goal setting, vision planning, how to work on all those things and make those things work together, for you. I feel like it's easier to maintain my own sobriety with positive things going on. So making sure, I have the relationships in place to help me in the future and current situation. Having goals to aspire to. I know John mentioned having a direction to go in, and that like literally my absolute starting point was just knowing I didn't want to die, and that was the only thing I had to go on.
Well, you're teaching people how to, and yourself, how to live life on life's terms, and you're giving them a skill set, and that you don't have to be stuck where you are. Okay, you can move forward even if you don't have any education, even if you don't have any skill sets. You can always go back to school. There's a lot of programs that doesn't cost any money, a lot of organizations that you can reach out to. So you're doing a good service, and you're making up for all the bad karma that you did before. So when you burn all that karma off, so so you're getting different credits in the karma bank. So that's how I look at it anyway. So,
fantastic, Sterling. I want to thank you for coming on. I want to give you one last chance again. If somebody's listening who's struggling with addiction, is there any message that you personally would like to give them?
I think people need to, be patient with themselves, or at least for me, once I was patient with myself, and allowed myself to kind of go out, start seeking answers, start seeking help. There's this little thing that clicked in me, at least. I knew I wanted to get better at some point, in 2015, that clicked. And then that feeling never went away. I didn't, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't just all fixed at that point, but I continued trying. And things get better when you try. So
I got a suggestion for you. Since you're early in recovery, I wrote a book called The Kid from the South Bronx Who Never Gave Up.
Okay.
And go get it on Amazon. It's not expensive. It's very reasonable. I think it's $10 or $12 or something. And it's my journey that I went through, and all the things that I had to go through: death, betrayals, and all kind of homelessness, and all kinds of different things. And it may help you on the journey. That's why I wrote it, to help motivate people. And no matter what schooling you had, no matter what happened to you in your life, you can overcome it. It seems to me that you're doing that. So that might help you. And if you want, give it a shot, and let me know how you liked it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Well, with all of that, Sterling, I'd like to thank you for your time and for sharing your story and what you're doing. And our hats off to you. Like John said, it's good karma in your bank. And more people should be sharing their experience like this and trying to put it out there. I think the mastermind approach is beautiful. Because a lot of people take that very seriously, and maybe they'll take your recovery more seriously with that kind of application. So I like that. But good guy, right, John?
Yep. Thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Absolutely.
Keep
Thank
burning
you
off
guys.
that bad karma, man. Just keep burning it off.
All right. I'm gonna slide you backstage for a minute while we wrap up the show, but stick around backstage so we can talk to you after the show for a minute. All right.
All right.
Okay. All right. So that was Sterling Shrout. Again, sterlingshrout.com. You can go and check out all the things he's doing. And this wraps up episode 31 of Beat Your Addiction with John Giordano. Go to johnjgiordano.com to find out more information about everything that's going on and to get access to your books and everything else.
Right. And that's the letter J.
Absolutely. Just like you see on your screen right there. And John, wish you happiness and health. I hope everything is good for you and your family.
I'm going to be 75 tomorrow. I can't believe I didn't think I would make it for 75 minutes.
If you don't believe it, we're going to cut them open and count the rings.
That's it. That's what I need.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure that you share this program with people. Sign up and subscribe to the channel. Click the indicators, click the bell so you can get notifications of new shows coming on. But it's really important to share this with people. And again, if you want more information about John and the mission he's on, johnjgiordano.com. You can reach out to him that way. All of his information is right there. John, pleasure, brother.
All right, baby.
All right, you all have a great time, and we'll see you next time right here on Beat Your Addiction.